I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
But that's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And during that journey since 2020, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over, 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers. So as always, like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on Saturday, August 17th. The best place to be on a Saturday night is year. Because you know why? Not because of me, because of thee. Because of the Aisha K. Staggers, the LaLa Key, the Aisha needs to take her mic off mute so she can be heard.
Hi, Dr.
Vibe. Good day, good evening, good everything. What's going on?
Oh, it's been a fun week. It really has. You guys are like fiending to hear our girlfriend chat. You need to make sure you follow us because we really have a good time on that. So Aisha's working on the second show, but I'm still laughing. Honestly, I'm still laughing, and I really need that. Sometimes you just need a good girlfriend's chat.
Yeah, we were a bit off the hook this week, so names and situations have to be removed.
So is there any disclaimers at the beginning of that show?
I think we probably should add them.
No, I'm to hide the innocent and the guilty. So I'm editing.
Oh, that's so funny. I love it.
So what's been going on in your ladies' world over the last week? What's been up?
Real estate has been really hot for me right now. I just closed one and I just took a new listing. So things are on the move, and we've had some massive changes starting today in real estate with people who are buying homes. And so I'll be putting up some information in my link about that so people can be educated on that. But it's been a good time. Don't let it fool you. Real estate is still moving along, even though it's moving a little slower, but interest rates are actually coming back down.
Okay. Nice. Okay. And why are people buying with you now, other than you just being a spectacular agent?
Well, because a lot of people are actually really realizing that if they said they were going to buy 5 years ago, they should have bought 5 years ago, because real estate, honestly, does not go back down. So these two people that I am helping to buy now have been a client kind of dragging their feet for 2 and 3 years. And now they're like, we're not waiting anymore. And that's really the smart thing to do.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. I guess what we have to say is when the market drops, that's the best time to buy.
Well, it's always honestly a good time to buy. I hate to say that because you always can refinance, but when people realize that really doesn't matter over the scheme of time, if you plan on being there for at least 5 to 7 years, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Hey, Jen, what is going on? How are things in Cleveland Rocks? Aisha, you're suspiciously quiet. What's going on in that alleged mind of yours?
I am just exhausted. It's been one of those weeks where thankfully the news is kind of slow. And I've been kind of taking a step back, and I watch it when I need to. But for the most part, I've been trying to enjoy life, enjoy these last 36 days of my 40s. So
Oh yes, the countdown is on. Yes, yes.
yes.
Uh, some things we were chatting about before we go into the main soup of things. So let's do this first. Catch the girlfriends here. That's all I'm gonna say. Catch them there. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on Discord too.
But
So
yes, Primetime Saturday store is there's the link there. It's already in the comment section on all the places you're watching this on repeat, sorry. And also the Discord group. Email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. I want to bring up something after we do this, and also you can watch on Indie Soup Media, which is powered by Dr. Tachi out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Over 30, about 40 now independent content creators, and in 6 months, 17,000 YouTube subscribers and growing. I
we're
want to
going
bring
to have
up.
to find out what the new Roku channel is, because on my Roku, it's saying that the channel moved. So
It is. It's off right now.
Okay.
It's not on Roku. Right, Roku now.
Okay.
Long story short, the company that's supposed to help her with that is not being good. She said she's going to pull it back.
Okay.
She's going to pull it back for a while. Jen says Cleveland is fine today. Thunderstorms today. Yes, we've had them in Toronto on and off all day long, like downpours of thunderstorms in Toronto today. So you got it. We got it. That's good. I want to chat about two quick things before we get into Maine. First things first. Actually, there was a recent survey done in Toronto showing mental health challenges of those people in their 20s is at an all-time high.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And I'll say this as, someone who has a graduate degree in clinical psychology, and I did do mental health therapy my first year out of graduate school. I'm not surprised. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way that young people are connecting. When you connect through your phone, it's very isolating. So just their primary connections are through social media, are through apps and text and things like that. And that can be very isolating. I find like all my friends live out of state, which is a challenge for me, but I still had that foundation in my 20s of hanging out with people in person. If I wanted to connect with my friends, we were in person all the time, and, going to sit with people at kitchen tables and just having, watching movies together and doing things together. And young people in their 20s, I have a daughter that's in her 20s. They don't do that they don't get to do that often. I don't want to necessarily say the world is more dangerous. I think it's probably more dangerous because people have more access to you at any time. But my daughter and I were talking about this yesterday in the car, and I was just like, I'm thankful that, in my 20s, having people have access to me all the time now on my phone is annoying. I'm sorry. Frankly, it's annoying. And that's why there are times when I just don't answer the phone. I don't respond to text messages because I don't want to be bothered that way. And then because people now, and I guess on their end too, get very annoyed and upset when you don't respond immediately. And it's, you have the phone and the access to do that. I remember being in my 20s and having to actually either I went to go see my parents or I called them when I got a chance to call them, but they weren't constantly, waiting for me to catch up with them. My friends, same thing with my friends. It's like my friends knew that it wasn't me ignoring them. It was me living life. And the fear of being away from their phones is so great because that's their only connection to people their own age.
Yeah, even in business, like I have to set that expectation when I have the younger generation of that. Like I may not be able to always pick up my phone when you need me. I have also a life, but I also have other clients. And if I have to set that expectation with them, or else they expect me to answer immediately.
Yeah, and I found that out my last time teaching college was that my students didn't respect the boundaries of either you contact me during office hours or you email me. And if I don't get back to you in time, know that I have other students, one. Two, also two, there's class time. You can ask questions during class. But I think that and perhaps that's also a how they're being raised, because you got to remember a lot of young people in their 20s tend to have older millennials as parents and Generation Jones, which are a little bit older than Gen X parents as parents. And there's that helicopter parenting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more situated you are in Gen X, the helicopter parenting kind of goes away because you didn't have that. So you don't know how to do it. You kind of want your kids to survive and learn things on their own. I get frustrated all the time when I realize, like, my daughter, she knows how to do things. I know she knows how to do things because I told her how to do certain things, certain ways, but she acts as if I didn't. And then it's like, it's like, you're in your 20s. Why am I constantly having to follow up and make sure you did things in your life to get your life straight? This is like, in our 20s, we adulted better, I think. And I think that now the 20s are more like an extension of the teen years, and that they're not really adulting till they grow into their 30s. And I think that in our 20s, we had to adult a lot faster.
Okay. Yeah, for me, in regards to the phone thing, I make sure that anyone I want to have in my phone, I have their full contact information. So when the people are calling, that will tell me if I want to answer or not. Most people have cell phones. You do have a voicemail plan. You can use it, You don't always have to like answer. You can tell they will call you back. Also, the interesting that the survey said that many of these 20-year-olds wanted to spend more time in the office working than and at home working.
That's their only social time.
Yeah. And people our age are more like, been there, done that. I kind of need time away from people because I don't feel like peopling.
Baby, I get nothing done in the office. Nothing.
The older you get to, you realize you're not really a fan of people. People can be horrible.
This is true.
We've been there, done that. We've done all of our peopling, and so the people that we want to be around, we've carefully.
LaLa, why were you laughing like that all of a sudden?
Because it's so funny. It's true. I'm done peopling. I need a T-shirt that says "I'm done peopling."
Yeah, we've carefully crafted the people that we want to deal with. Granted, I love my friends from Fisk. I do, and I love catching up with them from time to time. I don't feel like I need to do it every day.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like I need to do it every week. And one of the reasons I don't go on Facebook the way I used to is because guess what? There are only but so many stories I can hear from people I went to high school with, to the point where I really don't care. I don't really care what's going on in your life. Not because I'm being a cold human being. It's that I didn't really care when we were in high school. Why do I care now, 36 days away from turning 50?
Straight shooting Aisha K tonight. No play.
Listen, I actually got family members still talking about stuff that happened in the 70s, and that's a little bit too much. I don't want to keep having those conversations over and over.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Wow.
Still mad about it, still festering on it. Listen, I'm not trying to fester that long. You need to just get over it and move on.
I think that's the other reason I'm off of Facebook too, is because, my family, particularly my father's side of the family, is really, 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 really big, to the point that we've almost repopulated the United States on our own. And it's like, it's too much, too many people to keep up with.
LaLa,
I have cousins. I don't even know their kids' names.
I think Aisha K should be on another show. You think?
I
do. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I have cousins whose kids I don't even know their names. Okay, and I'm okay with that. And I'm like, I know so and so has kids.
Are you auditioning to be on another show or something?
Um,
I think both you know what I mean by that, especially LaLa knows what I mean by that. So that's quite interesting. All right. Look who's in the house. Fitness IQ Cam. What is going on? The lady that never answers her phone anymore because she's just so busy. Maybe she practices what we said at the beginning, or she selectively answers her phone.
and you know what else too about the phone thing?
Yeah.
Dating is trash. I am
Oh
tired of it.
no, here we
I am so
go.
sick of it. That's the other reason why I'm like,
oh no, oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my honey bunny. Thank you.
I dodged a huge bullet by not getting married because the people that I've tried the dating apps, and I don't understand why every man that approaches me is in his 80s, an old white man in his 80s, and gets mad if I don't respond. And I'm kind of like, you're not my type. Didn't you read what my type was? And then I have to stay away from my type because those are the ones that always get me in trouble in the first place. So, I mean, dating is trash. I'm happiest right now being single and not being bothered. It's too much energy.
Okay. But you know what? Joking aside, I'm hearing that from a number of melanated women. I'm hearing that from a number of melanated single women.
It's exhausting. Men are exhausting. I'm sorry.
Okay, hold on a second now. Hold on now.
Not you, Dr. Vibe, but the men that are out there in the dating pool.
There's males and men. Can we make that decision?
Very much so.
Okay, thank you. All right. Just wanted to make sure I didn't want to get thrown into that happy sack. Thank you very much. Dr. Tachi's in the house. What is up? The leader of Indie Media. Fitness IQ Camp says LOL and also says golly. And she goes, make sure that you know all their last names.
Look, I don't even bother learning their first names, okay? It's like.
Okay. And Jen is giving clapping emojis to Aisha.
And when somebody tries to get you to remember something that happened in 1966 and you weren't even here,
Lord of mercy.
There's a problem.
Okay. Fitness IQ Camp says in his 80s. Wild.
This guy literally asked me, do you remember in 1973 when I said I wasn't even here? My mother was even pregnant.
I could take a screenshot of Aisha of LaLa's face right now. It's so priceless. Ooh.
My mother wasn't even pregnant with me in 1973. I was born in 1974. She was pregnant in 1974. You're asking me to remember something where I wasn't even a thought.
See, no, I'm happily married. Thank you.
Please, I think my parents barely wanted to live together at that point.
Okay. Fitness IQ Camp says dating is something that is what? Finish the sentence.
Trash.
Okay. And Dr. Tachi has the laugh emoji up on the screen. All right. Let's do something. Let's change the energy by taking a quick break before we get into our next we get into the meat of our conversation. So we'll be back in 30 seconds, hopefully with some different energy. Here we go. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Join Aisha K. Staggers and LaLa Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
That's not a big enough sample to even say that this is representative of anything.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Those polls have you thinking, I don't need to go there.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. I noticed something about that promo.
What?
Someone with their fingers and hands moving all the time. LaLa Key.
I'm very expressive.
Suicide. I almost feel like playing that again, and people watch LaLa. It's just like, OMG.
And that's whether I'm on film or not. That's just me.
I've said, LaLa, don't you do. Do you have any Jamaican in you, LaLa? That's how Jamaican.
You know what? I probably do. I need to look at that 23andMe again. I never know.
Well, I think you're qualified. I'm telling you, you're qualified. All right, before we get to the stories tonight, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We've passed 1,500 subscribers, on our way to 1,600. Let's make that happen if you're up to it. And follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And to advertise your business, product, or service on the platform or any platforms I'm part of, email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. So we're going to jump from what madness to other madness. First story today. Media compares this year's DNC to the 1968 DNC in Chicago. But is this correct? Better comparison. No. Oh, okay, I'm done. Go ahead, Aisha.
Absolutely not. Now, because yesterday I was driving. Yesterday I took notes, right? Yesterday.
Okay, hold on. Are you going to conceive or something, LaLa? Just like I'm going. You got cramps or something? You
can't even get the question out.
Because I've been waiting on this one all because
I couldn't tell.
I've been thinking about it,
Oh boy.
1960. Okay, so the 1968 DNC was in Chicago. And of course, there were riots and whatever. It was also where they attempted to have a brokered convention. So the media is trying to compare it to this way because they're trying to steer a narrative, but they're looking at the shiny object and not looking at the actual true comparison. 60 years ago, 1964 was Freedom Summer. Okay. And what we're looking at right now with Kamala Harris, people keep making the comparison between Kamala Harris and Shirley Chisholm because she was from 1972, because she was the first Black woman on a major party ticket. That's not even the right comparison. The right comparison is between Fannie Lou Hamer and Kamala Harris. And there are a lot of reasons why. Because first of all, Fannie Lou Hamer was the leader of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. And if you don't know what that is the Democratic Party that Black people were primarily a part of in Mississippi, because Mississippi Democrats at the time were still Dixiecrats. They were still the racists who were in charge. And so Kamala Harris now is the de facto leader of the Democratic Party as the nominee. And so Fannie Lou Hamer gave this speech in 1964, and that's the famous speech where she said she was sick and tired of being sick and tired because they did not want to seat the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, kind of the way that there were people when they got rid of Joe Biden did not want to seat Kamala Harris as the nominee of the party. They wanted to skip over her. So there's that comparison. But then there are some other policy positions that are very much the same. So for example, Fannie Lou Hamer was a farmer. Kamala Harris with Joe Biden, they just got the Black farmers that funding that they had to sue for because the Republicans, they were given the appropriations, the funding, but then Republicans in Congress decided they were going to stand in the way of not having them get the money by saying, oh, it's race-based. No, it wasn't, because you didn't complain about the white farmers getting their funding. It was only the Black farmers getting their funding because it should have been equitable. Fannie Lou Hamer was a voting rights activist. Well, Kamala Harris co-sponsored the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and this getting that codified is one of her campaign promises. Fannie Lou Hamer experienced brutality at the hands of police. Well, Kamala Harris also co-sponsored the George Floyd Policing Act and wants to get that passed in her term as president. Fannie Lou Hamer, if you didn't know, was involuntarily sterilized, did not know that she was. And reproductive rights, not just abortion, but reproductive rights, being able to make those decisions about your body yourself, is a focus of the Harris campaign. And then there are other things too. The Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, one of the reasons that they couldn't get seated or get the respect that they deserve was that they didn't have the coalitions of support that Harris now has. She's got vast coalitions of support. And that has a lot to do with not just the times, but if Fannie Lou Hamer hadn't gotten that attention at the 1964 convention, Lyndon B. Johnson also would never have signed the legislation that he did in the years after. Fannie Lou Hamer died in poverty, but she left this mark on history as one of very few Black women leaders in Mississippi who gets recognized for her work. And Kamala Harris is also getting that kind of recognition as a woman leader in the Democratic Party, first Black, first Indian vice president, and she'll be the first woman. She's the first woman vice president, but she'll also be the first woman of all those categories to become president if she should win. And then, of course, like I said, 1964 was Freedom Summer, and Kamala Harris's campaign is all about freedom. Freedom is something that she talks about all the time. She uses the Beyonce song Freedom as her campaign song. And so there are those kinds of things. And then also, too, she had a number of detractors in 1964, right? And Kamala Harris, her two detractors are the people running against her, Trump and Vance, but also the people in their party who continuously disrespect her by calling her out of her name and showing her the kind of disrespect that Fannie Lou Hamer was also shown. So there's also the plan. They had a plan going forward in the early part of the Southern strategy in 1964, which is akin to Project 2025. So the media it's short-sighted on their part to focus just on 1968 when the comparisons to 1964 are much stronger. There are far more, and 1968 is all doom and gloom. 1964, that there's a direct line between what happened then with the DNC and what Kamala Harris is trying to do now with her campaign.
Anything
I don't have anything else to add. Aisha has done a whole dissertation, and I have thoroughly been educated. So.
Okay. Yes. So are you saying this message has been endorsed by the LaLa campaign?
Yes, the woke campaign, because we understand.
So then I have some questions for you, Aisha. Then why is the media making this, trying to make this comparison?
Well, you got to remember, it's going back to what we're going to talk about later in terms of them wanting to center themselves in Kamala Harris's narrative. But again, we're talking about corporate media. Mainstream media is corporate media. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And right now we're at the tail end, I think, of this era of not just doom and gloom, but people constantly having something to bitch and complain about all the time. I was actually recently asked to submit a resume to a media outlet to be an entertainment reporter. So I went to go look at what they concentrate on, what they focus on. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, all you write about is how horrible people are. And it's like, it's very limited. But I realize that they do that because the conflict is what media is looking for right now. They're looking for conflict. They're looking for stories of conflict. They're not looking for nuance. They're not looking to educate people. They're looking for conflict because conflict gets likes, views, hits, whatever. You know, that's where the money comes from. That's where they get paid from. And the more conflict that you can piece out and parse out and point to, the easier it is to get a book deal so you can write about the conflict. Okay. And I think that, you know, what bigger conflict at the DNC than to have this 1968 thing hovering over them in Chicago? Well, Chicago's ready for that. What the only thing that I promise you, it will be a smooth sailing convention inside the room. The media, what they'll focus on are the protesters standing outside. That's what they're going to focus on. Now, mind you, during the RNC, there were tons of protesters outside, but they didn't focus on that. Instead, they focused on this man with a Tampax on his ear. It's like, it's one of those things where
screen capture. Come on.
I can't argue with that.
Screen capture.
And it's one of those things where it's like not one person in the media even said how bizarre it is that you have a whole bunch of people with maxi pads on their ears like a cult.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Not one person. But instead, like that article that we saw in our private Discord channel, that instead they're talking about how Joe Biden's going to start clapping back on all the Democrats. No, he's not. What in this man's history, in the last 262 years that he's been in government, has you ever gotten the idea that that is the kind of person that he is? He is not. Because guess what? If he was going to do it, he would have done it the day that he stepped down. Would have said, F you, F you, F you, Nancy Pelosi, F you, George Clooney, F you. He would have done it then. He's not going to do it. And then, like what, day after the person writes that story, what does he do? He shows up at a campaign event with Kamala Harris. And it was all love, and they just couldn't say how much they adored each other. So
Fitness IQ loved your regarding the ear. I'll just leave it at that. So did Dr. Tachi of your comments about 45's ear protection.
So it's nonsense to me that they're making these comparisons. The comparison, it's not about educating people, because I'm surprised, as of yet, I have not seen footage on mainstream media of Fannie Lou Hamer's speech at the 1964 convention.
You're not going to see that.
Right. But at that time, all the media covered it at that time because she went in. And not only that, the other comparison I forgot to make was that line that she said about being sick and tired of being sick and tired. Guess what? That's what the Harris campaign is responding to. That's what this joy is about. The joy is about people being sick and tired of being sick and tired of the misery, the doom, and the gloom. And people just, it's like, Joy Reid did a perfect intro into talking about the joy that the Harris campaign is exposing by showing the scene from The Wiz, the film The Wiz, when the Winkies, the light comes out and they're singing Brand New Day. That's what the Harris campaign feels like. And I'm still mad at Barack Obama for not using that song as his campaign song, as I suggested in 2008 to the campaign, but nobody listened to me. Hopefully we will get that here. But that is what it is that people are coming up out the shadows. We're pretty much behind the tragedy and the stress of COVID. We know how to manage it better now.
Right.
People are coming out of their basements. They're coming out of their houses. They want to enjoy life now. And you have a political party that really does not want people to enjoy life. Why? Because the person at the head of that party is not enjoying life. I have yet to see that man ever smile, ever crack a smile, ever laugh. Instead, he's standing in front of his
miserable.
His country club. Instead of standing in front of his country club with boxes of Cheerios, talking about he's going to do some unspeakable things to the Cheerios when he gets back in his room, has bacon and all this stuff sitting out, talking about the cost of food. Dude, I'm sorry. I would be pissed too if I was paying $10 a bowl of cereal at your country club when it's on sale at $3. It's like this man has no comprehension of what groceries cost. Groceries are actually on sale right now. You know why? Because kids are going back to school and they know parents are going to start buying in bulk. So they lower the prices. It's not Kamala Harris's fault that General Mills has raised the prices. It's corporate greed. It's because there are few companies that have monopolies, big monopolies on products and services that people use every day. That's what it is.
And not only to mention that, did you hear what Kamala is proposing about housing? They're really going to be trying to push for every first-time homeowner, first-time home buyer to get $25,000 to go toward their purchase of their home. The way things are going now, with the way things were set into motion, there's nothing but massive people and corporations buying these homes, and not only buying, creating and building new subdivisions. They're not for sale, love, they're for rent. You get everything but the equity.
Right. And that's the other thing she talked about too, is breaking up these corporate monopolies that are buying up housing and then jacking up the prices. And she's also talking about a $10,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers too, and then raising the child tax credit from the $2,500 it was to $6,000 in the first year of life. And so there's that. And then also too, when I mentioned family humor, she also died sick at the one hospital that they had for Black people in Mississippi, which was located in Mound Bayou. And what did the Biden-Harris administration do this week? They got significant reductions in the cost of drugs that most seniors get. But it's not just affecting seniors. People who get Medicare, and it's not just seniors who get Medicare, because you have some people who have serious disabilities and illnesses that are required to pay into Medicare. Like, for example, if you are on dialysis, for example, you can't just rely on your private insurance. You also have to buy into Medicare as well, because it's a life-saving measure. So if you lose your private insurance through your job, you still have that backup. And I know this because I've had two siblings that were on dialysis and that had that. So there is so much hope that she's offering people. And this focus on the doom and gloom of the 68 DNC and, this is possibly going to happen. This is going to be, no, it's not. The media is being wholly irresponsible in terms of how they're promoting this. But then what did they do during the RNC? This is going to be a chance for unity. Donald Trump's going to unify America after the assassination attempt. And then what did he do? He doubled down on being a miserable son of a bitch.
And so much so that his parties are like, y'all, we got to reel him in, because they don't know what to do. They thought, and they all have the same excuse. Well, that's not what he signed up for. He signed up for Biden. Well, guess what? There's no set rule for that. We hadn't already chosen Biden. We hadn't chosen that. That's not how it works. No, that's not how any of this works.
And guess what? You're acting like things in life don't change. Things in life change all the time. And what do you have to do? You have to go with the flow. You have to pivot. You have to change your plan. The bottom line is this man he's old. And like most old people, he's stuck in his ways, and he doesn't want to have to change course. Because guess what? Changing course.
He doesn't know how, Aisha.
He doesn't know how. But guess what? Changing course would also mean that he could have a shot at winning. And personally, I don't think he wants to win.
All right.
I think he wants to be miserable so he can complain. He's already talking about the second big lie.
Well, Dr. Tachi says the other side is so rooted in hate that they can't stand to see joy and supportive behavior.
And that's weird. And that is weird. That's the weirdness that the Democrats are talking about. It is weird to not want to. It's like, dude, don't you see your grandchildren and get happy? But no, he was sitting there with his grandchild sitting next to him at the RNC.
So what are you ladies looking for in the convention that's coming up next week? Or any things you're looking for specifically to see or viewed during the convention?
I'm looking for, there's going to be a lot of unity. You're going to see the different coalitions. What I'm looking for mostly is, I'm not expecting the media to do their job, because they've been asleep at the wheel. They've been asleep at the wheel for the last 12 years. Because remember, let's keep this in mind. Donald Trump has been the nominee for Republicans in the last three presidential campaigns. Okay? 3. That's 12 years. Okay? That were going on, that he would have been running. And so we're at this point right now where the only thing that I'm looking forward to seeing is for the pictures, the images to show this is what America actually looks like. Not that RNC convention where every face in the audience was pasty and white. Okay?
Diversity.
Mostly male. I'm looking to see what America actually looks like in this. And you know that something's happening when you have evangelicals for Harris having their own conference call. Okay, yeah. They did that the other day. And so there is this sea change. And I think that's what you're going to see mostly when you see this convention. You're going to see the sea change. You're going to see that, hey, this is what America looks like. most people in America are happy. Well, or at least trying to be happy, at least trying to enjoy life. They have families. They're proud of their families. They want to be able to go outside and touch grass. Okay.
Right.
They want to be able to, go to the beach with their family, have a barbecue or a picnic and just chill and not have to be constantly worried and concerned about being miserable. Today on the highway, driving my daughter to work, I saw the most miserable van. It was a business van.
Mhm.
And you know what it had on the back? It had Mel Gibson in, I forgot whatever that movie, it was Braveheart or whatever, where he's got his face painted white and blue, red, white, and they added a red stripe to it and wrote freedom across it. And I'm like, oh, look at that MAGA van. Because
Yeah.
clearly it was. And then I looked at the guy who was in the van with his MAGA hat on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is what it is. And let's be very clear. We are in the F around and find out season right now. A lot of these people who support Donald Trump, they should have learned the lesson already that you can't do what he does in regular society and not get your ass handed to you.
Listen, they're acting like this is some damn football game. You know how everybody goes to the football game and they have those tailgate parties? This is exactly what it reminds me of. That, I mean, they could care less. Their team is their team, their team is their team. It doesn't matter if the team sucks. They're still going to be the team of ridiculousness. And I'm starting to see the division in some people who actually surprised me in my family. Like this week, we were speaking about something politically, and I was told that some person in our family claims that the Democratic Party now is only basing their whole running thing off of abortion, and I think that's a lie. That's not a lie. This is the whole platform is not just centered around women's reproductive rights. It's around rights, period, as an American. That's just a part of that. And it concerns me because some people who claim, who are claiming that it's a religious thing, they're not really seeing the whole thing. Because honestly, if you really look at it, and I'm not trying to get all biblical on y'all guys, but I'm going to tell you right now, the Jesus that I know hung out with the thieves and the tax collectors and the adulteresses, stopped somebody from stoning people, and asked people, he who without guilt cast the first stone. So get out of other people's businesses and start worrying about what you're doing in your life to make your life better, and stop worrying about somebody trying to tell you what's right and wrong. You got to know what's right and wrong in your heart of hearts. That's when I have to ask you, which Jesus you know? Because I don't know that Jesus that you know. And you just cannot, some things I just can't fathom. But that's the point, damn it. Our whole life is not centered around freaking politics. There is life going on. There is laughter. There is joy. But if you continue to let all this drive you into a separation point where you're just arguing with people just because somebody looks different than you, then this is not the point of the whole thing. You need to go back and check yourself from the very beginning of your heart, and not just politics in itself.
Yeah. And I think people are forgetting the things that make or made them happy. This is one of the things why this whole turning 50 thing for me has been, and I plan on spending the next 12 months doing this, but revisiting things that made me happy in the first 50 years of my life, right? Revisiting those things and making those connections. And, just, I have a stack of magazines from the 1980s that I collected that are print centered, and I've been going back and reading them and remembering, like, oh yeah, I remember this kind, and then reading just articles, that all the articles in the magazine, just like, oh yeah, and you remember different things and things that made you happy, and this has been about me getting back in touch with that, because if you just sit and watch cable news all day, it's easy to forget that there are other things going on in the world, in your life, because you got to remember the people that make cable news, that's their job to be focused on that stuff all day. They get paid for it. You don't.
That's
You only
right.
have one life to live, right? You don't get paid for that. So if that's not your job, why are you focused on it like it is?
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to go live your best life. And living your best life isn't just sitting in front of the TV all day, listening to angry people argue about nonsense. And I'll be honest, let me tell you something. You know what I did this week? I went to the library.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's a book I want to read. I'm not sure I want to buy it. Let me go see if they have it at my library. I went and got it out the library. And you know what I've been doing? I've been taking time out to just sit and read the book, turn everything else off, turn the phone off, and just sit and read the book. Because guess what? If I didn't, I would have forgotten how much I love writing, but I would have forgotten how much I love reading. And I've always loved reading and books before there was a cell phone, before you could go to streaming and watch the videos and movies and things that you wanted to watch. I sit and read books all the time. And I think that might also be a reason why, from our earlier conversation about young people in their 20s feeling so depressed, is that they are so focused and engaged in what's going on. Like life is going to go by, that they might miss something if they turn off their phones, if they go away from social media. That, guess what? Sometimes there are things that you are going to miss, and it's not necessarily bad. We come from a generation where, guess what? You did miss things. And guess what happened when you missed them? You were okay, one. And two,
you just missed them.
You didn't always know that you missed them until afterwards, but you knew you couldn't go back and get it. So
and you didn't die.
And you didn't
It was a reason why it was fun. Like every year, it came on? Certain shows would only come on, like, at Christmas, or even Gone with the Wind, and or
the Wizard of Oz.
The Wiz and the Wizard of Oz would only come on once a year. If you missed it, you missed it. But you didn't die. You knew you'd have to wait another year before DVDs came out. But there is life, and if there's anything that I have learned in this last year and a half since losing my sisters, is I can choose to sit back and still live a life of worry and dread and upset, or I can choose to do the things that make me happy. And hence, even though we do talk politically, I'm still very active with that. I know when to put it down. My guitar, Camille, her name is Camille, is sitting over here in the corner, and every day I get up and play this at least 10 minutes a day. Am I good? No, but it makes me happy. So you have to choose happy.
Yeah. You know what I do too? You know what I do mostly with my phone more than anything? I play games. Look, I play games, and not only just any games. I sit and I play this number game where you have to match numbers to make different pairs, to make different additives, to get rid of the blocks. And I will sit there and play that because it keeps my brain active. One.
Yes.
Two, it's a way to pass the time. But also, two, I used to love playing games when I was younger. And so there are things, and it's a game I can play by myself because, back in the day, I used to play games with my sisters, right? And we used to play all the time. Me and my sister, actually, one of my sisters, I was at her house yesterday, and we were talking about the games and things that we used to play when we were little, right? When we were kids, and things that we would do. And we're like,
what sort of games?
Okay, so we used to like watching Little House on the Prairie reruns. So we would go outside and reenact scenes from Little House on the Prairie. Mm-hmm. And I told my sister yesterday, because there are three of us. So my youngest sister is always the youngest one. My daughter and I would, my middle sister and I would always argue about who was going to be Laura. I didn't want to be Mary. She said, well, you had to be the Mary because you were the oldest. I said, yeah. And then she went blind. I said, you realize the fact that you kept making me do that when I had to wear glasses when I was 8 years old is the reason why I stopped wearing my glasses when I was 8.
I love it.
To this day. And like, like you always call me the older sister bully. No, you bullied me. And so it was that kind of thing. But guess
We
what?
had imaginations.
We would be outside. We do that. We would, and then we talked about riding bikes with our friends, just riding bikes through the neighborhood with all the kids in the neighborhood, and just, walking several blocks to the store to go get candy and stuff like that. And then walking back and just exploring the neighborhood, climbing trees. And, we were talking about those kinds of things. And I forgot how much I loved doing those things when I was younger, because I'd come inside to watch TV every now and then. But for the most part during the
or if it was raining.
Right. For the most part, during the summertime, we were outside. And then there are other things too. Like you were talking, LaLa, about the TV shows that if you missed it, you missed it. They came on once a year. But also too, we watched TV as a family. Every Thursday night, we watched the Cosby Show as a family. When Michael Jackson would premiere a new video and it would be hyped for however long, we watched that as a family. Kids don't do it nowadays because they can see what they want to see on their phones or on their computers. And, kids have TVs in their rooms, or, and everybody is so disconnected. So that also adds to the loneliness factor, because the loneliness factor isn't just coming in their 20s. It's starting when they're young, when they get that first phone.
Yes.
And so that is part of the misery that we see, not just with younger people, but we're seeing it in our politics. And remember, a lot of these politicians, they're busy doing it for the gram. They're busy doing it for Twitter. They're busy saying what they want to say and being blasphemous and out of pocket so that people will like watch the viral videos. And it's like, wow, really? Do you do anything but be a hateful, spiteful person? I mean, you go to a county fair and you're miserable.
Yeah.
They have funnel cakes at the county fair. How can that make you miserable?
Yeah. It's too much. It's too much. But here's, to me, the rainbow of it. I mean, honestly, you clearly see in this election the doom and gloom side, and you clearly see a rainbow on the other side. It's so refreshing finally to see this and to see people at least smiling again. You could debate me on anything, but all I'm seeing is attacks, not debates. That's telling me exactly who you are. We knew that before, but never has it been so clear as now, as Vice President Kamala is there taking the helm of what this is. You want to hear something that tickled me so this week? I cracked up laughing. You know how you get news things on your phone? And I got one that said, finally, dissension in the Harris Waltz campaign. And I was like, oh, what garbage is this? And I opened it up and it was actually hilarious. And it was him and Kamala standing there, and he's like, and so he's trying to explain to her how he's cooking something, right? And he's like,
white man taco.
Yeah, right. And he's like, and I do this and that. She said, what seasonings do you use? And he said, none. And she goes, oh, that was the problem. Okay, that was a joke, So it was fun to watch that. It made me laugh. All this running up on people's vice presidential planes and calling people the C word. That is the that is the word that will make me crawl out of my skin. And they have called her that so many times that you start thinking, is that the only word that you know? That shows just how miserable and how unprepared and unqualified you are to run our country.
Yeah. And you know what you said about the thing about that piece? He was talking about how he makes white man tacos. Basically, he said it's just meat, cheese, and a tortilla. And then she asked him about the seasonings, right? Because tacos are supposed to have seasoning. Do you know on Twitter, white men got in their feelings for him saying that. They're like, well, white men mostly eat those extreme hot things are mostly white men eat them. I'm like, speak for this country, maybe. Because if you go to the rest of the world, there are much hotter things than hot honey sauce. Okay? Much hotter. And people,
But that's all. But that's what they worried about.
they were worried about that. So then they tried to justify what a white man's taco was. And they're like, no, it's putting all the taco stuff in a Doritos bag and shaking it up. It's really called a walking taco. You were offended by the fact that he says his palate is bland?
Well, I'd rather have a bland palate than somebody loving on the couch. But hey, I wouldn't want that rumor hanging around my head.
Guess who else has to eat their tacos that way? This person here with the ulcer. Okay? So I'm like, what do you? Now, mind you,
everything is
mild seasonings. I do use some mild seasonings, but I season my meat.
All right. Let's take another break, and we'll get into some more conversation pieces. Aisha K is real fired up tonight. She is really fired up tonight. But you know what? That's a great thing. So when we come back from our break, what are we going to put up next? All right. We come back from the break. We're going to talk about Project 2025 updates. Do you know what that is? Well, if you don't, in 30 seconds, you're going to find it out. Here we go. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Join Aisha K. Staggers and LaLa Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
People are expecting Obama-level eloquence out of a man who's always talked like this.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
There's no way that Trump is going to debate her.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. All right, we're back. Primetime.
By the way, I still stand by that. I will be surprised if the man shows up. I may make him show up, but I still stand by that.
You do.
I do.
He'll show up.
I don't think so. I think he's gonna find some excuse, or hopefully they'll give him prison time before then.
Da, 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 da.
Well, no, because remember. Oh, speaking of which, 8 days after is when he's supposed to get sentenced, right? So he asked the judge, "Can we delay the sentencing until after the election?" And Judge Merchan said, "No."
All right, before we get to our next conversation piece. Oh boy, some comments. Fitness IQ Cam says, a few months ago I played solitaire with a deck of cards, and she says, and forgot how lovely it was.
Yeah, I was playing dominoes with a deck of cards. Real regular dominoes. Yeah.
All right, Minnie on Cam, good to see you. Says my grandma always watched Anne Green Gables.
Anne of Green Gables, so did we. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then she says, Fitness IQ Cam, my ex-boyfriend stole my deck of cards. And then she says, Minnie says, Days of Our Lives in Jamaica was an event. And Dr. Taj says, I remember that. And Minnie says, meat is supposed to have seasoning. I saw the comment you put, Aisha, in the comments. Mm-hmm. And Fitness IQ Cam says, LOL. Minnie says, if someone doesn't know how to use salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and paprika, I will run away from them.
Man, gotta have some kind of flavor.
And Fitness IQ Cam goes, facts, Minnie on Cam. Oh my gosh. And Fitness IQ Cam says, it's the basics of everything I cook. And Aisha said, Mike Pence uses no seasonings. Actually, I don't think he eats anything that isn't white. Okay.
White milk, cream cheese, cottage cheese, plain yogurt, white meat, chicken breast, unseasoned, on a white plate with a white napkin, a white plastic fork, and a tall glass of white milk.
Let's go.
She's got it all planned.
Let's go to Project 2025 updates, please. Go ahead, ladies. What's new on the 2025 update front?
Y'all, these secret tapes that are all coming out that are, you notice how we spoke about this. We were very clear about this a couple of weeks ago, how all of a sudden they want to try to distance themselves from the 2025 project, right? Well, no, somebody's doing the Lord's work and putting out all these tapes of them showing and saying exactly what they're doing. And not only that, there is proof showing that Donald Trump is all up in this milkshake. Okay, so And they can't deny it because these were all true tapes. They're not AI. Now I could tell AI because that's going to be the first thing that people are going to say. But these are actual training tapes of them saying what they're going to do, what they're looking for someone in their recruiting area, and how they're going to implement. This is more than just the written word. This is how you go to get a job at McDonald's and they show you how to make a Big Mac. This is that. This is that. And if you have not seen them, they're all over the internet. All you have to do is just go into Dr. Google and say, hey, I need to see all these secret tapes for 2025. And every last one of them will come up. Y'all, this is deep. And I told you it was deeply rooted. And I told y'all not to close your eyes because they're trying their best to distance it now. It doesn't matter that man stepped down from the top. He done his job. Yep. So they just made it look like that, oh no, this is not happening, baby. This is marching forward.
Mm-hmm. And this shows you how much they don't want people to look at that. Again, Project 2025 it's the truth, and they're trying to put some shiny objects out there, like Kamala Harris's race, right? Don't look at this, look at that.
Right.
And the thing of it is that the guy who is the head of the Heritage Foundation, who was supposed to have his book that J.D. Vance wrote the foreword for,
yes,
told the publisher to delay the publication of the book. Why? Because he didn't want that out there, because he was told by the Republicans, if this comes out with J.D. Vance's foreword, we're going to lose the election. It's all about that. But those tapes
are
one of those things in those tapes that I saw was the lady talking about how they have been interviewing people to take over the civilian jobs. Yes. They plan on firing the 63,000 civil servants who work for the federal government. And
that's the plan
right, and that they've already interviewed people and have promised people jobs. Let me tell you, this is how scared they are and how they know they are losing. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yes, he did.
The Kamala Harris campaign to see if he could get a job in her administration while he's supposedly running for president, and said he was going to support Trump. Even he sees the writing on the wall. Okay. Even that
let's just let that sink in for a minute. Let that sink in for just a minute. How sick and disgusting is that you are running for president? You're still going to support Trump, but you're going to go to the other camp and ask for a job. That is twisted in its own right. This man is sick. His own family is not even endorsing him.
Yeah. So the bear came back in his nightmares and said, just so you know, this is what's happening. And so it's something that we can't keep ringing the alarm on loud enough. Is this, they not only have a plan, because the plan, put it this way, Donald Trump's Agenda 47 are the outcomes. Project 2025 is how they go about getting those outcomes. And it's not about what they're going to do when
that's right.
When he wins. It's about what they're doing already, what they've been doing all this time. They have made promises to people about jobs. Okay. They've interviewed people. They've made promises. The application for these people, you can actually go and find the application online. They were asked about their political views.
Yes, they were.
And if they support Donald Trump, but not only that, but if they support specific policies, things that are in Project 2025. So again, we will keep ringing the bell on this one, but
don't close your eyes on this. This is alive and well. This is a monster with 70,000 heads.
Yes, and make no mistake, Project 2025 is going to become Project 2029.
Exactly. They're going to keep moving it forward until they get the right people in place.
Yeah. If they lose, it will become Project 2029. And the thing that you need to be more afraid of, they're not going to run Trump again. They're definitely not going to run J.D. Vance, the gift that keeps on giving again.
No.
Instead, they'll find somebody like Nikki Haley, who is okay with being a shill just because she wants to be the face of the party.
So bad. My God, she wants it so bad. She will sell her soul.
She's already sold it. She has no soul. She's been sold that. She sold that to become governor. She has no soul. So you take a soulless person like that, and they will just, she's an empty vessel, and she will allow them to pour Project 2025 into her campaign. The difference between her and Trump is that rather than denying it like Trump is doing, and it's blatantly obvious, Nikki Haley has enough political savvy, because she's been a politician for more than 20 years, to say, oh, no, this is what we're trying to do, and make it sound sane. Okay.
Right.
Donald Trump isn't a good messenger for it because he's insane. She knows how to pretend to be sane. And so you've got to be very careful.
Oh, this is not going away. It doesn't matter if they win or not. It's not going away.
And the closer we get to this becoming a majority minority country, the more forceful they're going to be about it.
But I don't see it as talked about as much as it was even a few weeks ago.
That was the plan. That's the plan.
Well, that's why they've been pulling back on it. They've even removed sections from the online
You're kidding.
the web. Yes, no, they've removed some sections from the website online.
Why isn't media talking about that?
Because it doesn't like I said before, it doesn't get the hits and the views and all that stuff. And not only that, but it goes back to this thing about access that we're going to talk about with Kamala Harris. If they talk about it, they will not have access to Donald Trump.
Okay. All right. Well, since you mentioned it, let's talk about it. Media struggles to define and craft the narrative around the Harris campaign that centers them.
Okay, so from the first debate up until Kamala Harris became the nominee, the media took the whole thing and they changed the narrative around Joe Biden. They were the ones that created all of the stories around Joe Biden. Yeah. They shaped the campaign. Kamala Harris learned from that, and she's not letting them define her campaign. And what are they doing as a result of her not centering them and letting them define the campaign? They're like, oh, well, she hasn't talked to the press. She's not talking. Guess what? Because Kamala Harris saying, guess what? I don't need you all to interpret this for me. I'm just going to go straight to the people and talk to the people myself. And that is what's making them mad. Donald Trump, on the other hand, keeps inviting them in. He keeps having these I want to call them, they're press rallies. It's where he rallies the press to sit and listen to him as he spews a bunch of lies unchecked, and then tells them how much they're trash to their faces. And they sit there and they take it.
And they take it. I don't understand.
Because he's inviting them in. Kamala Harris is inviting, she's like, oh yeah, you can come to my event, but you're not going to get in between me talking to the people. Donald Trump needs the media to carry his message forward, because guess what? He doesn't know how to talk to people. All he knows how to do is complain. Bitch and complain about, oh, they're doing this to me. Oh, poor me. Whoa, whoa, whoa is me. But Kamala Harris is like, you know what? People are concerned. They don't want to hear the media tell them what I'm going to do. They want to hear me tell them what I'm going to do. So instead, I'm going to go, she's been in North Carolina 12 times. She's going to the people to talk to the people. And the media doesn't like this. The other thing, too, is why on earth would she sit there and have a press conference with the media when all they're going to do is pepper her questions about responding to stuff that Trump said, not policy stuff.
Right. But still, everybody want to ask what her policies are. Well,
she hasn't told us what the policies are. No, she's told us what the policies are. The problem is you're mad because she won't answer your questions about Donald Trump said this and this, and she's not clapping back at him. What she's saying is, I'm not even paying attention to him. I'm paying attention to what the people want.
And she knows she got work to do.
Right. And because they don't like that, they're spinning stories. So they're spinning the story about, oh, Joe Biden's going to go off on Kamala Harris in his DNC speech. Where'd you get that from? They got it from a report. Look, they got it from a report from someone else who got it from another report. And guess what the report was? An opinion piece. That's not news reporting. And not only that, but I read that article and it was peppered with opinion and adjectives and different words. That's not reporting. It sounds very angry. It sounds like they want a scoop. They want a scoop so bad. They want to be able to, oh. But here's the thing. Why would she trust any of you after what you did to her current boss? Why? Why would she allow you to do that to her? I wouldn't. She saw what you did to him. Why would she allow you to do that? Period. And not only that, but I got to say this. Kamala Harris isn't Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre, I guess she does the Lord's work because she had a lot more patience than I would have. But here's the thing. They're not going to be able to do that with Kamala Harris. Mm-mm. Just like when they tried to say, well, Trump said this with this, what do you have to say? And she said, I'm not paying attention to him. And they're like, but he said, and she said, I said, I'm not paying attention to him.
But now she's going to be the angry black woman who's not really black.
And you know what? But here's the thing. I think she's fine with that. Because you know what? I think she's fine with that. You know why? Because her anger is righteous anger. She's angry at the fact that the media keeps giving this man passes.
Yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't talk to the media either if I were her, because I would say this. You know what? Until you start asking that man about these accusations with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff and ask him real questions, and until you start asking him real questions about Project 2025, until you start asking him why he brought Corey Lewandowski back into his camp to help run his campaign when he's already liable for sexual assault himself, and then this man has a credible accusation of sexual assault against him, until you start asking him those questions, don't talk to me. Don't ask me a thing.
I agree.
And so the media has been really, really sloppy.
Yeah.
Really
sloppy. Completely biased. All platforms. I'm not happy with any of them.
No, and at this point, I think we need to go to a point where the only credible media sources are going to be nonprofit media. And I've been actually looking into doing that because nonprofit media, they're accountable to something. When money is not a part of it, then people can start telling the stories. As long as people are running to get the money, the corporate dollars, as long as they're running to get the advertising dollars, the memberships, even people who do independent media who are trying to get the memberships, the paid things, like you see these crazy people who have all their YouTube channels and this stuff.
Yep.
As long as that's happening, there's not going to be any honesty or truth in reporting. It's all going to be spin.
I agree. Because that's all we're seeing.
So if Kamala doesn't appease the media, do the media going to just twist and turn her more?
Of course they are, because that's what's going to get their ratings up.
They're going to. But here's the dilemma that they have. The people that support her aren't buying it because they're experiencing it for themselves. So the media can tell one thing, but when we're seeing and experiencing something else, the thing of it is this: they can say what they want, but as long as these coalitions keep having these calls where people are getting on and sharing and talking, the media can try and say, well, this is what happened in this call. Well, guess what? You can go and listen to the call yourself. You don't have to be a member of one of the groups in that call to sit and listen. Right. Everybody's invited, and they keep saying it. Everybody's invited. Just know your place, know when to speak, and know when it's about you and when it's not about you, and sit and listen. I sat and listened on some of these things and have heard just, people sharing why they are supporting her, why they are voting for her. And the media can't tell me anything that I didn't see and hear with my own eyes. Because guess what? They've been trying. Think of it this way. The Republican Party has been sitting in the last 3 years trying to tell us that we did not see what we saw on January 6th, to the point that they've convinced some people on that side that they didn't see what they saw.
Yeah.
And that isn't just the Trump campaign. It's not just the Republicans. The media has been going along with it. Okay? The media has been going along with it. And so I say, the more people experience her campaign for herself, and she's providing enough opportunities for people to experience it themselves, not just with her rallies, but through these different calls and things, and the way that people are getting on the ground and doing the work. As long as they can experience for themselves, guess what? The media is useless in this sphere, and she knows that. And that is why she has not, she'll do it. She'll do something. She'll sit and do something with some media. But guess what? At this point, she needs to know who she can trust.
Yeah.
She doesn't want or need softball questions, but she needs honest questions. She needs questions from someone who's asking a fair question, the same question that they would ask the other guy. Because don't come to her asking him questions after you just did a softball interview with him. Don't ask her the hard questions that you couldn't ask him. It's a competition. It's between two people. Both people should have to answer the same questions. And I'm hoping that ABC gets it right during this debate if he shows up. Don't do what CNN did and give him the easy questions and give her the hard questions. Don't do that. Ask them both the same question and expect an answer. And if somebody lies, call out the lie. Period.
I'm still with that one guy who suggested how easy it is to do that. Roll the side tape that is that's so easy, y'all. So easy. All this stuff, just roll it on the side. You know, listen. I feel like they're going to force him to come to this debate, but if he's going to do everything he can to weasel out of it. This is why I'm kind of like if he does show up, he'll call foul and leave early or something like that, because that's his MO. But you know what? I don't want to. I really want. I'm pretty much demanding that we have fact checking on everything, because he just lies about everything. And hey, if Kamala says something wrong too, fact check her.
Exactly. But guess what? That's not the debate we want to see anyway. The debate I want to see is between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, because they have agreed to one on October 1st.
October.
And the first question that J.D. Vance should be asked about is why he said what he said about Tim Walz's military service.
Yeah.
Not only that, but guess what? It should go even further, because even the Trump in the Trump-Harris debate, that should be the question too. Because Donald Trump, did you hear him the other day when he said that the Presidential Medal of Freedom is higher than the Congressional Medal of Freedom?
Yes. I heard about
He knows nothing. He's the stupidest man on earth.
Because he gave it to some wealthy, rich person's wife who has done absolutely nothing but shop at Saks Fifth Avenue all day. That's what he gave her the award for? Oh, because she spent money at Trump Tower?
Yeah.
Dr. Tachi says that's going to be interesting. I think both debates are going to be interesting. I think she referred to when you said about the vice presidential debate. Should be interesting. So definitely. You did mention J.D. Vance, so let's make it the less conversation piece. J.D. Vance says the role of menopausal women is to raise their grandchildren.
Not only did he say that about his mother-in-law, but not only that, but he allowed the guy who was asking him the question to say, well, that's the benefit of having an Indian mother-in-law.
What?
Yes. You mean, you sat there while this racist makes this comment about your mother-in-law when you've got half Indian kids, and then to say that the job of menopausal women is to raise their grandchildren. Your mother-in-law is a whole professor. She took a sabbatical to help. And she wasn't helping to raise the grandchildren. She was helping her daughter who just gave birth. And beyond that, let me tell you something. My mother, she was there as a grandmother, but my mother had things to do. She had a life. She's retired now, and guess what? She still has a life. Okay? I plan to be around for my grandchildren if I have them, but I got things to do.
Okay, I just want to interject because I'll actually put up an article where this was mentioned. So let's put this up on the, and I see we got a comment also. So let me get the article up too. So let's get the article. Okay, so article, J.D. Vance agreed that the quote, whole purpose of postmenopausal female, unquote, is to help raise grandkids. In a 2022 interview, the Republican vice presidential candidate recalled that his mother-in-law took a sabbatical from her job as a biology professor to help care for his son. Just in this article, in an episode of the Portal podcast released in 2020, April 2020, Vance, who recently selected as former vice president, 45's running mate, spoke about how his wife, Aisha Vance's mother, came to live with her family, and after one of his children was born. And the Republican vice presidential candidate said that having a grandparent around the house made him a son, quote, his son, a much better human being. And he says, quote, that's the whole purpose of the postmenopausal female in theory. And he said, yes.
Notice that he said his first son. They've got 3 kids. What wasn't she around for? Child 2 and 3. Enough said.
Wow. Okay.
I think LaLa froze.
Yeah, she did. That's an interesting freeze. I'll take her off screen for a second. Minnie on Cam says this: do they know how many women are not having children, making their mothers upset? There is now a child-free conference every year. Jen Myers.
Because guess what? Not everyone wants to have children. Let's be honest. It's not for everybody. And guess what? That is okay.
Jen Myers says,
not everybody can and not everybody wants to.
Jen Myers says Vance just can't keep his foot out of his mouth.
No, he keeps making it worse. And at this point, look, if Donald Trump, if he could take being wrong, which he can't, he would probably get another VP at this point, but he can't stand anything looking like he made the wrong decision or did something different or did something wrong or incorrect or made a mistake. So he's going to keep running with this loser. So you got a double losing ticket, 2 losers on a ticket. Trump already lost several elections, and JD Vance is just a loser at life. And so you've got 2 losers on this ticket, and it's like you at least need to have one sane person so that they can kind of counter the other person or act as a buffer. There's no buffer. That's bone on bone right there, just grinding.
Bone on bone.
and they're mucking up the whole thing.
Well, it does look like 45 is talking more about issues because his supporters saying, he's got to talk more about the economy. But he did say last week, I have the right to insult her.
Right, but guess what? When he went to talk about the economy, he talks about interest rates. Well, the interest rates went down, but he's talking about them going up. He's not talking. He is so disconnected from reality that even when he thinks he's talking about policy, they told him in his donors, $1 million, $1 billion donors told him in a private meeting, and this was reported, hey, focus on issues, focus on her policies. And he said, nah, I am who I am.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm not doing that. That's basically what he said. And so I think at this point, what we're looking at is common sense and nonsense. Common sense versus nonsense. That is the choice that Americans have. Do you want more of the nonsense or do you want common sense? Period. That is a choice that you have in this election. Common sense and joy or nonsense and misery. And I'm sorry, I no longer have patience for nonsense. My patience level for anything having to do with regular people is pretty much done, shot. I have no patience. So I really don't have any patience for their craziness.
LaLa is back. LaLa, you want to add anything before we call it a conversation?
Well, actually, I just want people to remember that, listen, this cannot rule your whole world. Yes, this is very important, but you do need to take a step back and take a deep breath, because regardless of what's going to happen, you still are going to have to live your life. And you can conduct your life accordingly. You can choose to be happy, or you can choose to live in misery. And that has been my theme for a very long time. But for some reason this week, that stands out more than ever. I had a really good conversation with several girlfriends, and not just Aisha and Jill. And I laughed this week. And I can't tell you how long it's been since I just laughed. I mean, belly laughed until my stomach hurt. I'm still giggling over our girlfriends' chat. And those are the things that you need to cherish in your life. Yes, we do put up a good fight, but just remember that you don't need to be on the battlefield 24/7. You can control your emotions and control what happiness you allow into your life, and choose happy from the very beginning.
Yeah. Protect your peace, touch grass, be joyful. Those are my 3 pieces of advice going into the new week. Protect your peace, touch grass, and be joyful.
I like that. That's a nice close to another epic conversation. So as always, ladies, you want to say thank you for taking the time to drop the knowledge bombs, the comedy, the dating advice in our conversations.
I've given up.
Jeez.
I'm keeping my husband.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, you know what? My only regret going into 50 is that I didn't get married younger. But then I look at who I would have married the 5 times that I was engaged, and yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I dodged a whole lot of bullets.
All right. Dr. Tachi says, great show. Of course. Thank you very much, Dr. Tachi. As always, want to say thanks to the ladies. And as always, we want them to give out their contact information because they are so popular. Or as someone else say, the populares. Someone I watch, populares, who has their own dictionary. LaLa, where people get a hold of you?
Well, I made it really easy. You can find all of my social media platforms, some free resources, and some fun stuff at this site, bit.ly/Laura Key Info.
Aisha K.
Those are the places that you can reach me. However, like you said, I'm touching grass and spending my free time in joy and peace. So if I'm on there, I'm on there. If I'm not, I'm not.
I like that. Touching grass. Well done. Well said. All right, everybody. Here's all the places you can get a hold of me. Website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, and then the Dr. Vibe Show website, the drvibeshow.com. So before we call it an epic conversation, just want to repeat again these important things. Primetime Saturday at Patreon, otherwise known as Girlfriends Chat. There's the link, and it's also in your comment section on most of the platforms you're watching this. There is this Primetime Saturday show. I'm waiting to see what they come up with. New merchandise. I know there's stuff being brewed up. And then join the Primetime Saturday Discord group. It is getting hot lately. It's only going to get hotter as November gets closer. dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Email me for that. Subscribe also to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button if you haven't done it. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and spread the word. This is an epic conversation, family. More people need to know about it and hear about it. And then to advertise your business, product, or service, please email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And you can watch replays. I think I already said that. So that's a done deal. Be the light and touch grass. I like that. Next, maybe not going forward, we'll see it under the little title underneath the names. You know, we've got LaLa doing Be the Light, And Aisha going touching grass. If she says that on some of her friends sarcastically say, "Oh, you gotta arrest her. She's touching grass." I can see them coming after her about that. All right. Jen Myers says, "Love the show." Thank you, Jen Myers. Love that. All right. As always, we end off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourselves grace. We'll catch you on the flip side. And mark down September 10th on your calendars. Why? Well, not only is it debate night between 45 and Ms. Harris, but Aisha's going to be there. LaLa's going to be there. Jill Jones is going to be there. Does anyone want to join us? I have to follow up with Ryan Knight. He proposed the idea. Got to make sure and see if he proposed that. And also, it was yesterday, my good co-host on the Morning Vibe, Ryan Knight, him and his wife celebrated their 15th wedding anniversary yesterday. And they've known each other for 22 years. 15th wedding anniversary. So I want to say thank you and congratulations, Ryan. And Sheraton, you are a great people to know, and you are great for so many people. So God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith, walk good, and we will see you soon.